Welcome to the Hustle and Homes podcast, where real estate meets relentless hustle.
All right, welcome back to Hustle and Homes, the podcast where strategy meets real estate success. This is episode 14, and today we're diving into a powerful combo that can transform your investing game. First, we're breaking down the 30 days to deal process, what it takes, how to stay consistent, and the exact steps you can follow to land a profitable deal in just 1 month. Then we'll shift into a deal analysis, the skill every investor needs to separate a winning opportunity from a costly mistake. We'll cover numbers, red flags, and practical tools you can use to evaluate any property with confidence. So grab your notebook, get ready to level up, and let's jump into episode 14th of Hustle and Homes.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
So, Mr. Santiago, in the hot seat, 30 days to a deal. What is this? Are we going by seasons? Are we doing this like a Netflix episode type thing? We're on season 3.
Season 3, episode 2, I guess.
Yeah, true. Episode 2. So what's the whole process behind it? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I know that we switch out. We only get like half an hour with the coaches. That half an hour kind of goes pretty quick, to be brutally honest. So today I didn't get that much. I wasn't that lucky on getting a lot of agents answering the calls. It's something that I feel like I've kind of been struggling for a while, is to just get on the phone with the agent. But definitely just, and we talked about it before the podcast kind of started. That's something that I'm definitely going to try to implement next time, is the RVM, or the ringless voicemail. For people that don't know, it basically just bypasses the whole ring. It just leaves a straight voicemail to the agent's number, pretty much just getting them to kind of call back. I know.
Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. This guy's camera is ridiculous right now. I just have to point it out. We're having some technical difficulties.
Okay, hold on. I'm taking off the.
Matt is currently not at his desk. He's right. He's out in Calgary doing some visitations. Edmonton. Yeah, he's out in Edmonton. Visiting another student that we had on here before, Rianka. All right, checking out on their progress, and clearly he hasn't figured out how to use a damn gimbal or how to turn off face tracking. So this thing is going crazy. So just bear with us, and if I start laughing because it looks ridiculous, don't worry about it.
Go find an actual chair, but just proceed.
So we'll get back to the 30-day to a deal thing. So I guess what we should start with is actually probably a little bit of context on what it is. So we are part of the Ben Humble community, right? The Canadian real estate revival, learning how to buy real estate at a discount and hopefully invest and make some money with multiple exit strategies, right? The different process that he uses. And what he's doing, it's actually the third round of it, is a 30-day to a deal challenge. So he's handpicked some of the community members, put them in the hot seat. They go live every day for 2 hours, sitting with one of the coaches and basically hammering through calls, through deal analysis, through finding deals, whatever you need to do to find a deal within 30 days. So that's the whole premise, so that you can basically show that anybody can do it, right? If you have the right skill set, the right mentoring, the right push, the right process, all of that sort of thing, then anybody, right? Really, if you put in the work, you can find a deal in real estate in whatever market you're looking at, because everybody's looking at different markets. They're all from different areas, and hopefully land a deal and make some money and close. So that's the whole premise of this thing, right? And Santiago here was actually chosen as one of the community members to be part of the hot seat. So now we're just going to grill him a little bit to kind of understand his experience.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it's only been day 2, but I did tune in the first 2 seasons, so I had a pretty good idea of how things were going to look like. Matt.
Was that me? Did I do that? You're actually being recorded right now.
We have a 4th member now as part of the podcast. I don't know who that is, but that's fine. At least she's prettier than the 3 of us, so it's probably better to put her on the camera anyways.
Yeah, give me that. Okay, proceed, guys. Proceed. I'll have to edit that out.
All I see is, I look up, all I see Matt is like,
I'm trying to open a water bottle.
All right. So which coach were you with today? Who were you working with today?
I was with Coach Dennis. He did some, I guess he knows I've been part of the program a little bit longer. So he's kind of, he flat out told to Ben, he's like, I'm trying to push Santi a little bit more. Definitely with like the confidence on the phone, kind of, I know we talk about that a lot, bring the confidence, like you're the buyer, but sometimes like, I don't know, it's not, the confidence really isn't there. And he kind of wants to push that a little bit more on me, which today I did manage to talk back to one agent. I did a pretty good job, I think, of putting him in his place. I did do a little bit of background research. Like I looked at some sold comps, I tried like kind of really diving in and just talking more about like data. I told him, I'm like, it's just not, the data dictates my every move pretty much. Like, it's like, if the data makes sense, if the numbers pan out, like I'll move forward. If it doesn't, then I told him straight up, I try to take emotions and feelings out of it, right? It's just business process. It's just business process, how it goes, right? He was very adamant on, no inspection period again. And, I did mention that I'm going down to AZ for like about a month. So I'm going to be trying to buy a couple properties, as many as I can as I'm down there. And then as soon as I said that, he was like, well, come check out the house, right? That's what every agent wants to kind of reel you in and fall in love with the property type of thing. And I flat out say, even though I'm going down there, or if I wasn't going down there, getting somebody to go and do a walkthrough for me, like it's either my time or my money that I got to send someone out there. So at the end of the day, like we have to be aligned on price before I even take my time or money to even go check out the place, right? We're talking about a little bit about like, the reno budget, and then I was talking about the profit margin. I'm like, well, we're talking about all this stuff, but I don't really see where the profit margin is. And he's just like, well, yeah, there really isn't any. So I don't. And then at that point, I really took control of the conversation, and he was like, well, yeah, I don't really. At the end of the day, he was like, well, I don't really think this might be a good fix and flipper opportunity, more of like a fixer and holder. And I said, even at that, my main goal, I didn't say wholesale or hotel, but I said my main first goal is always to fix and flip just to get some cash, even though I know we try to wholesale, right? But I said I end up with rental properties. So I know the main goal for building that financial freedom is holding on to properties, but it's not something that I mainly target. I told him, I was like, I end up with the rental properties, but the main goal is to fix and flip it. I like to add value. It wasn't even turnkey. There was appliances missing. It was super old school. Like it wasn't livable. And when I told him, I'm like, I'm looking at like bringing it up to today's standards, like willing to drop, like I know Ben has that rule of thumb, 25K for a small reno, 50K for a medium, and 100K. I did say around like 80 to 100 because it was like a complete fixer upper. And he was just like, oh, I think you're spending a little bit too much on a reno budget and whatnot. He started trying to persuade me to cut corners. You can get away with like just painting, like painting over the cabinets and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, trying to talk like I've done it before, even though I've never done it before, right? But saying, no, like if I do a complete reno, I like to do it up to today's standard, right? Like I want to completely renovate it. I don't want any more wiggle room. I don't want someone to be able to come and, be like, oh, it needs this upgrading or it needs this. Like if you're going to do the full reno, you do the full reno and bring it up to speed. And that's that. So,
yeah, you're looking to basically get top dollar, right? When it's done.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
makes sense.
So like if we're gonna do the reno, like we wouldn't be doing half renos, right? We would do the full reno.
Yeah.
And then, squeeze as much as we can out of that and force the appreciation of the property up as much as we can, right? So
like I would word it as, it's your name on it. At the end of the day, when you're selling that property after you do that renovation, that's your credibility, that's your reputation. So to go do, a half-ass job like they want you to do so they can make some more money, that's how I would word it. That's my reputation. You know what I mean? Compared to their reputation as well. By discounting the property, his reputation looks worse. But at the end of the day, is it your business or their business you're trying to grow, right?
And another thing too, it's always good to overestimate a little bit when you're doing rental costs, right? Because you really don't know what you're walking into with some of these homes.
Absolutely.
Like if you walk in there and you start smelling like that little bit of musty smell or something like that, there's some water issues, there's potentially some mold issues, there's other stuff that you need to correct, right? So it's always, yeah, of course, you can always cut corners. You can find cheaper things that look half decent. And I know Ben Ben pushes for that as well, right? To really, to squeeze as much out of it. But really, if you're estimating 90,000 and it ends up costing you, say, 60,000, 65,000 to finish the reno, you've already budgeted that in, and then that's your profit in the end anyways, right? So it's
Mhm.
actually a good strategy to overestimate a little bit, and I mean, kind of sell that to whoever you're talking to too, right? And factor that into your price, and it just gives you more of that buffer too.
Yeah, yeah. The what was it? He calls it like the stupid tax. And at
Yeah,
the end of the day, you really don't know what's behind that drywall, right?
yeah,
Like
you have no idea.
you have no idea. So once you start tearing things apart, you could be in for a rude awakening. Uh,
Absolutely.
your budget than you were anticipating. And I don't know if you guys were a part of like right when the challenge ended and one of the it was the question Abby asked about the $1 million home and how the price drops. Like and that's something that I also told the agent as well. I'm like, I started in the market here in Canada, but for the last year I've been down looking and buying it down in AZ. And I told him like, and I know that the market's been declining for the last year. So I'm like,
Hmm.
that's something that I like to throw in there just because then it like kind of I find it really helps dictate the conversation, puts the ball back in my court. Is to say, if I were to close on this and, for some reason I have to fire sell it myself, well, after I fix and flip it, and if we're talking about, let's just say the ARV is like, 350. Well, by the time I fix it, flip it, put it back up, at that point, if it's still declining, which we're assuming it is, then I'm not going to be getting that 350, am I? I'm going to get close to like 330, 320, around there. So saying that kind of stuff kind of really helps them know like, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. Like he does his homework. He does some sort of research. It's not just out of the blue random, like I just want to buy a piece of property. Right. So, and that's why I also do like doing some sort of soul comms prior because it does help me on a personal level to be a little bit more confident, whether it's overpriced, priced fairly or whatever. Just being able to kind of know right off the bat what I dictate what the price is on that value on that property is, just kind of helps. I find. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think one of the key factors there is really in your negotiations and your conversations with these realtors is that sometimes they're going to try to sidetrack you, right? They're going to try to basically pull you into their world, right? Into their game and what they want to do and what they think is right and what they think you should be paying for this house and all that sort of thing, right? Where you
Right.
basically just have to cut through all that noise and pull them back into your realm, right?
Exactly.
And just take command of that conversation, right? Because I mean they're salespeople too, right? So it's always that push and pull game, and whatever you can get from either side, right? And in the end, I mean, what Ben was even saying today, in a declining market, there's going to be more deals out there, and realtors are getting more desperate to sell, right? They're slowing down. Their commissions aren't coming in as quickly as they were before. It's not a crazy seller's market where people are getting sticker price or above asking, which is kind of crazy with what I've seen that they've been doing in Windsor, that they actually price it low, expecting to get higher. It just seems really weird, but I mean,
Like a
I guess
bidding war
maybe
type of
certain
thing.
markets do that. But
I
like I
hate
said,
that
in the end,
aspect. We tried here. I don't like it.
yeah, it's
The
so
whole
weird,
bidding
right?
war
It's so
stuff.
weird.
Yeah. Like listed low just to get a lot of people interested and sending in offers like crazy and just trying to get people to bid against each other until
Hmm.
But some agents here will tell you, let's list it at this price, and I guarantee I'll get you for this price. But you never want to guarantee anyone any price because you never know what's going to happen, right?
No.
And if you don't meet that margin, you're over delivering, over promising and under delivering. So it just ruins your
Yeah.
reputation.
right.
Exactly. You're reducing customer satisfaction, right? Which in the end, they're never going to go with you. They're never going to recommend their friends to you as a realtor or anything like that, right? But again, that's their business. We're not in that game, right? We're on the other end where we're looking to purchase for investment. So that's where we have the leverage, especially in a market like this when money isn't flowing as much and there's not as many buyers out there and everybody's kind of shit scared to throw their money around. Now's the time where you take advantage, and that's where you use your leverage to kind of command that conversation. And in the end, that's all, like you were talking about, that's all just having the confidence to, when somebody tries to sidetrack you or divert you, nope, we're not playing this game, and you just pull them right back into what you're doing, right? And what you're looking to do, and you don't bend, right? This is my price, this is what I want it for. Are we going to make this happen? If it needs to go a little bit higher, I'm going to need certain things from you as well. And then if it doesn't work, that's the whole theory of having abundance and having more deals and just having that preparation where, okay, fine, this doesn't work. Let me call this other 20, 50 people on the list here that have houses for sale too, and not getting attached to one deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Options, right? The more options, the better. And I like to throw that in the conversation sometimes, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, honestly, just well, when I talked to him on the phone, I wasn't actually at the office with the computer, which kind of helped too, because I said I'm actually driving right now, picking up my daughter, so I don't have everything in front of me, and it was a good excuse to say I'm also like dealing with like quite a couple deals right now that I'm hoping to purchase. So I've got a couple under contract, all bullshit, whatever, but it makes it seem super legit, right? And as soon as like I started talking in that aspect, just kind of just saying it the way it is, like without really giving a fuck, it they do change. Like once I do realize that whenever a conversation on the phone with an agent is going pretty well, and I can sense the confidence out of me, like out of my words, it goes a lot better. It does. Even like, even when I told him, or when he was trying to tell me like no inspection period, I was just like, yeah, well, you know what, sure. If your seller really doesn't want the inspection period, then like, okay, cool. I'm just going to shave off like 40K off whatever I just
That's
asked.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like the big swinging.
Exactly. The big
Yeah.
swing. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's
But literally what I said to him. I'm like, bro, if you don't want my due diligence, and I'm like, and you're the one, and we're talking about how it's all about sold comps, and you don't even want to give me like a day to look at some sold comps or anything and run my numbers and my data, then like, sure, I'll just deduct like 40, 50K. And even till that, I still added a little clause just to save my butt. And I just said, yeah, okay, no inspection period, but I need partner approval. Like my dad needs to approve it or whatever, or my money lender needs to approve or whatever. I threw that in there. It's still kind of going back and forth. I feel like I might be able to crack him, or I think he's trying to crack the seller. I don't really know who's the one being stubborn or not. But and I know usually like talking about, over, what was it, like say too much but you under deliver. Like I'm not an agent, like I don't really know, but I'm assuming a lot of people have like a fixed price that they want to sell their house at, but isn't it kind of ultimately like they do get their opinions off the agents? The agent kind of says, oh, well, we can sell it at this price type of thing, right? So,
Absolutely.
and especially with a declining market, if they don't get what they promised, then that's where they start getting that itch, right?
It's not always like that. I mean, sometimes it's different. Sometimes people have an idea of what it's worth, and this is the price that they want to get. Other times, they trust their agent. Other times, they just need to sell right away. Right. So it's a different situation for every negotiation that you're going into. So it's not, you know, you can't assume, okay, it's the agent, it's the seller. So and plus none of that really matters anyways. In the end, you're looking to get your price, and you're not, the whole point is not, it's to not give up something without getting something in return. Right. So yeah, I can do this, but I'm going to need another 10% off of the price to reduce my risk. So what do you want to do at this point, right? It's not just caving to their demands.
Yep. Cash or terms for sure. And yeah, that's a great strategy, cash or terms. It's like, yeah, sure, cool. You want me to go up? Well, I'm gonna need a little bit more. Why? Need to mitigate my risk, bro.
That's it.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, this is a business. And I'm like, I'm not buying like a hot dog, bro. I was like, this is like buying a property, you know? And, for example, us, like sight unseen. So it's like, kind of, what do you expect, right?
And like I said, sometimes less is more, right? When they ask you, just say, one, this is how I run my business. End of story, right? Why do you want to do this? Well, I need to mitigate my risk. Why do I need this? Well, I need my partner approval. And then just leave it at that. They don't need any more explanation, right?
Yeah,
They just need,
exactly.
this is what it is. And, either we're going to work together or we're not, because I have another 30 people to fucking call, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Just leave it super clean, very professional, just like with no attitude, no like discriminating or anything like that. Just yeah, well, I don't usually ever deviate from my business process, but I mean I can for sure for you. At what price?
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
just super clean, simple the way you say it. And
But value wise, like you were saying there, getting it from the realtor, majority of the people I find is it's sentimental value. It's growing in that house, raise their family in that house, so they have a
Yeah.
hard time selling it, so they price it ridiculous. There's one I'm looking at right now, again, same town that I was buying my other one in. Bailey went and met with them and talked to them in person. The son wants the house gone because no one's living there. She talked to the parents, they're retired. They want to get out of the farming towns and all the other stuff. But he was going on about how he raised his family there and raised his kids there and how his grandkids were there. You can tell there's a lot of sentimental value in it. So it's going to be hard to try and get him down on his price. And I'm still working on that one. But, when you start talking to the people that originally owned it, it makes it a lot harder for them to let go of it.
100%. 100%. I even remember Pichet talking about that, how when his partner Andrew got him into buying land. I'll never forget that. He's just like, this is why I love buying land, because it doesn't come attached to that feeling and something. And he said most of the people don't even, the land, they've never seen it, they're out of town or whatever, or they just really don't care, or it's just sitting there like collecting dust pretty much. So that is a huge key thing. There is a lot of like attachment, especially if you've been in that property for like a long time. Like even for this property, this house that I live in, like I grew up here, and I know if like we were to sell it, my dad would be super keen on like holding on and trying to get top dollar, like any other seller probably, right? I know everyone has their reasons of why to sell, but 100% agree.
That's why I like banks and foreclosures, because banks don't give a shit about the property. They just want them gone.
Yeah.
It is, it's nice, but I mean, so there's other complications with those too, right? Because usually you're waiting for longer, right? So you can't cycle through those properties as quickly. But again, there's lots of great opportunities there too.
About the contract I signed. So this last house I just bought for 18 grand or whatever. I was supposed to close on it last Friday. But in the contract, it states that if for some reason the property can't close that day, I must pay the sellers $500 plus I got to pay interest until the day it closes. Well, my end was done. I was ready to close on my end, but their lawyers weren't ready at all. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So now, because they're not done, I got to pay them $500 plus interest because it's in my contract. So I pushed the possession date to this Friday. Today's Friday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so today was possession day. But before I left for this trip, I went and seen the lawyer, and she's like, they're still not getting back to me yet. We might have to push the possession date again. Well, I'm like, I'm already paying insurance on the property. The utilities are already in my name, and it's been like this for a full week. So I started charging them interest. Luckily, it all came through and worked out. But it was just crazy. There's these little loopholes in those contracts that you have to read because, I thought it was maybe if I couldn't close. It was even if they couldn't close on the property, I still had to pay them.
So what happened there? You just asked for an extension, basically?
Yeah, I just extended my extension date.
Okay. And I'm sure they were fine with that, right?
Surprisingly, yeah. Sometimes they can be pretty sticky about it, but it's like they've sat on that property for almost a year. They want it gone. So
yeah, exactly.
They were agreeing with anything.
So with this 30-day to a deal program, what kind of prep do you do before going live? Because I mean, it's every day, right? It's every day.
It is every day.
Live for 2 hours.
Monday to Friday, 28 days to a deal. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No weekends.
Stop using my content there. That's fine.
You're right. Yeah, go ahead, Santiago.
Yeah. Well, what sort of things? Like, do you go on there a little bit earlier? Do you guys talk anything through, or it's basically, I prep and hit record and I'm ready to rock?
Well, no, honestly, we all hop on Zoom 15 minutes before. We actually make sure that we do like sound check, mic check, and everything. Make sure like there's no tech issues as soon as 4 hits. But that's all we do in preparation with like all of us and all the other students in the hot seat. But for me personally, like because it's like constant, pretty much every single day, working, I definitely need to pull more leads. And that's actually something that I was very ecstatically happy to hear, is that once I do go down to Arizona on Sunday and I stay at Deal House, Ben said that he's going to be providing leads.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was like so happy to hear that. I'm like, oh my God. Cool. I'm just like, okay, this is awesome, because it is super time consuming. I know like I'm not super tech savvy, Mike Nicolaica, like they can just, download a bunch of stuff in Excel or I don't know how they do it, but
like Matt here finally learned how to use his gimbal.
No, I'm holding it with my hand.
but yeah, no, it is super time consuming trying to pull new leads, right? So and I know when Rianka did it, she had the whole full hour to herself, right? But because I only get the half an hour, it's not that bad. But today, like, I was powering through calls and I'm like, oh shoot, I got to get someone on the phone. And like, I finally got someone on the phone and boom, that my 30 minutes was up, but I'm like, ooh, that was kind of close. Like if it was the hour, I would have needed a little bit more preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely making sure that I got some good, and not just any lead. Like I want to make sure that the calls that I do make are kind of worth it, and I guess live in front of everyone. So I want to make sure I get those like 5 points, the description, days on market, pictures, price drops, equity. I do want to make sure, and the price drops are like a huge thing. Like my parents are helping kind of input some leads when they've got some times as well. And like price drops is a big thing because like it already kind of, unless it was extremely overpriced to begin with, price drops help a lot because you're taking the 70 cents off the dollar off the listing price, right? Not whatever the current price is at. So already the gap kind of looks smaller. So when you do go and drop that anchor price, it doesn't look as bad. It doesn't seem as terrible as that low ball offer like the agents always talk about. But yeah, no, I definitely want to incorporate that. I do definitely want to incorporate a couple of the recordings for more of the RVMs. I know I've been saying that for a while, but I do got to get that going. I want to be able to drop a couple of RVMs, especially starting on Monday again with the 30-day challenge.
So just for anybody who doesn't know, what's an RVM?
Yeah, I was about to just say that.
It's the ringless voicemail, so it bypasses the whole ringing, and it just drops your voicemail straight to their phone. So when they'll just get like a missed call, but it never called. You just have a voicemail pretty much, and the voicemail, it could be for anything. It could be for new leads, like I'm interested in this property. I want to chat some more, get some more information. Please call me back. Or it could be a follow up or something. Or if you send a couple of offers the day before, you can drop an RVM saying, just following up on, you guys, I can't even think, just following up on the offers that I've sent the day prior. But yeah, what else for preparation is kind of quick pace. I find it that,
Yeah.
like I said, the half an hour does go pretty fast. So just making sure that you have definitely who you're going to be calling and just kind of have a good understanding of, and have that a list or whatever, or have them open up on your tabs on your monitor on your laptop or something. Just definitely be ready to go. And I found that especially yesterday. I had a bunch lined up, but I had a bunch of no answers, and I was just really getting good with those leaving voicemails that getting pretty close to like not having more numbers ready to pick up and to dial. Definitely don't want that to happen during a 30-day deal to a challenge. So making sure that just having them all set and ready to go to just, if you need to, okay, cool, they didn't pick up, just keep going until you get somebody on the phone, right?
Yeah, and I guess one of the things you can do that we had suggested too, right, is all those numbers that didn't pick up, right? Because we kind of shift them over into another box, right? It's just hammering them all with an RVM, maybe half hour before it starts, right? So then you see if there's agents that call you back, right? Those warm leads, right? Now they're getting back to you. Pretty much like there's a good chance if you give them a call, then during that half an hour, they'll probably pick up. So you can talk to them, right?
Yeah, that's actually pretty smart to do it like half an hour prior to before it starts, because then at that point, hopefully you got a couple of agents already trying to give you callbacks and whatnot. So, or even doing it like even like 15 minutes or something prior before it's starting. That's a pretty good suggestion. And just, I guess, do it, or I guess not really in drip mode. We've only got like half an hour anyway. So I would just do the whole list, right?
Yeah, at this point, and I mean, I wouldn't even worry about, like, I'm sure there's some that have been on there for a long time, right? Don't even worry about if the house is still listed or not, or sold or anything. Just hammer them all, right? Just hammer them all, and then see who gets back to you.
Right.
They'll either leave you a message back saying, "Oh no, the house is not available," right? Or they'll call you back, to have a conversation about what's going on with it. And that might
Right.
increase the chances of success of at least getting somebody on the phone and working through it with the coach there too to kind of guide you along, because that does help, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like if it's like a follow-up where you've already kind of spoken to them, I find myself, this is where I don't want to say like waste too much time, but I'm pretty good at like entering my notes. I can't remember the amount of agents we talk to and each property that we look at. It's impossible to remember everything, right? So
For sure.
I'm pretty good at entering my notes. That is something that, like, even with today with Dennis, I'm like, I wanted to not just make initial discovery calls, but I did wanted to make a couple of follow-up calls. And I know I was timed and I wanted to just kind of get on the phone, but that is something that I do have to spend a little bit of time, is to go through my notes and to like remember, okay, like this is who I spoke to. And like, oh, this is like this is a beneficiary house, and like this was the bottom line, and this was the information that the agent gave me, like just to like kind of get that information into my head before making the call. Because if I make the call and I didn't read that previously, it's like to me, I see it almost essentially as like a discovery call again, because like I could, it's hard to remember everything, right?
Honestly, I would just worry about, this is the price that I offered, I wanted to get it at, give them a call back. Are you willing to go to this price? Like, I wouldn't even overcomplicate it too much either, whether it's this or that or this kind of, that
Right.
doesn't matter, right? Price is king.
Okay.
So just look at that. This is what I offered. They weren't willing to go on it at this price. And, that's a quick glance at the note. You can even just look at the note as you're calling them, right?
Yeah, true.
As it rings, you'd be like, okay, this is what I offered. And then let's see if they're willing to take it, or they're willing to at least come closer to my number. All right.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is just all details that don't really even matter.
Yeah, no, true. And for the most part, some of them like remember you, some of them don't. Like,
Yeah.
like the one I did read the notes and stuff, and I ended up calling, and she's like, to be honest, I don't remember talking. I'm like, well, then for that case, reading the notes was really fucking pointless then. So
That's when you say, we spoke, a few weeks ago.
yeah,
This is what we had talked about, right? Here's the numbers. Are we a little bit closer now, or do I need to follow up with you in another 2
Is
weeks,
that the
right?
case?
Like, what's happening?
You say, wait, you don't remember me? You said you were selling my house for 50 cents on the dollar. We already had a deal. You're going to get the contract signed, right?
They would remember that.
Gaslight the realtor.
the ice. That's
can.
breaking the ice, bro.
You
Hey,
can. That's
that's
another
putting a little bit
strategy.
of the humor in there
They're
too.
gaslighting realtors.
Gaslighting is a strategy for sure. I don't know if it's the one you want to go with, but you try it. Whatever works, doesn't matter.
It's funny because I can see myself doing that. Like, see, that's something that I would say on the phone. It's like, oh, I thought we already established 50 cents on the dollar, like jokes.
Well, and if you say it in like like a light tone and stuff like that, they'll just laugh it off or whatever, right? They're not going to take it too serious.
Yeah. But I was just thinking as well, though, you should talk to Ryan. That power dialer thing I was telling you about. So when you ring someone and they don't answer, as soon as you hang up that call, it sends them the RVM instantly.
Yeah. And it'll actually, you can have it set up where, say, if you have 20 leads, right? It rings. Does it pick up? Boom. Gives them the RVM. Starts ringing the next one. Bam.
Exactly.
But I mean, for that, like you have to be prepped for that too, right? You have to, have your tabs up and just go tab to tab. All right, this is one, boom, boom. So at least the properties that you're looking at too.
Like, I feel like I would like
it's
need
overwhelming.
some preparation. It is kind of overwhelming, to be honest. Like just like I like to have a little bit of knowledge before making the call, and that's like my downfall. Like, I know Ben he doesn't care, right? He just gets on the phone. But like,
that's what I do too. I basically just get on the phone and call them and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah, but you're special. You're Jeff number one, right?
I'm a little bit special, not in that sense, but
no, you're a great talker, man. Honestly, I love how you can just shoot the shit and just talk forever. Talking about like another thing that Dennis also kind of suggested me today also is that going back to your leads and then going back on the MLS, a lot of the agents changed, right? And what I always did, I don't know how you guys kind of tackled this. When I picked up the phone, I would always be like, oh, like I was dealing with da-da-da-da, so, and I see this is like, you're the new agent. He literally just told me it's a brand new discovery call, brand new person, brand new, just brand new.
Yeah.
He's like, you can keep the information, the prior information that you had, especially like, because I know they take it off the listing and then they put it back so it shows how many days on market. That's definitely something I do not delete from my notes. Like, I'll leave it like, like 300 days on Zillow or whatever. And if they did that little tricky thing where they take it off and they put it back on and it's like says 10 days off, I'll leave the 300 and I'll just put it's showing 10 days on market now. And I know that I know who was it? I think it was Sharon, right? That when she was in the hot seat, Ben mentioned something in regards to days on market, but she was like, no. Like, I've been keeping tabs on this since like June or something. And it's the days on market is like the number is like triple that of what it shows. And she kept it in her notes and stuff. And that's awesome, right? That's great. At the end of the day, we know actually when they were trying to sell it. So
Mhm.
it does help because we know right off the bat that, bro, you've been trying to sell this for X amount of time. Like you are motivated with all these price drops and whatnot. Like we know that you want to sell it. So what's it going to take to get this kind of closed up? So yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting challenge. It is cool to see, right? Just see it. I mean, I'll be honest. I like to see people in the hot seat. I like to see people sweat a little bit, and it just basically forces you to do the work and kind of think on your feet. And really, that's how you learn. That's how you learn the best is by just doing it and making the mistakes and just having that fire under you to get it done, right? And then when you have an audience too, it just makes it
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more credible, right?
Yeah. And that accountability is like
Hmm.
also like you talking about like what you do to prepare. And it's like, well, you don't really want to look foolish in front of everyone and just show up
Yeah.
unprepared, right? So it's like because it's live and because you have an audience and stuff, like it really does put a fire under your butt, right? And then, okay, well, I got to be prepared because I don't want to look foolish now. Like I got to look like I can't, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I know I've been talking about making calls in different markets. I'm not giving up on Arizona, but I think I'm going to start making some calls. I don't know if I'm going to make the calls during the 30 days or off of the 30-day challenge, but I do want to. It seems like everybody's been widening their market. I know Bernard, Lisa's been going down to AZ and Buckeye now. She's a new market. Everyone's looking at different markets now. So I kind of just want to explore. I think it would just be fun to just start making some calls outside of Arizona and just
Mhm.
kind of start just getting familiar and start checking out other markets and seeing how that process works. And I know like up in Canada, it's not just email offers, you got to send actual contracts and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
it's
kind of
different.
want to get into like the groove of doing all that. I feel like I've been kind of like procrastinating all of that, but I mean, eventually we're going to get through all that stuff, right? Like you want to tackle everything, right? So
Mhm.
start now, right?
And really, it's not that long of a time frame. Like 30 days seems like a long time,
I
but
mean,
30
2 days is
days
not
is not
right.
that long of a time to find a deal on a house. It really isn't.
No,
See,
it's
I'm
not.
excited for Deal House. 24 hours of
Yeah.
them, Survivor, build your bed. You might get a pillow, you might not get a pillow.
Can I
But
get a
man, I hope
pillow?
they have like 24-hour footage, like just live, Big Brother or whatever it was, where it's just nonstop recording.
Yeah, and it's gonna be dope that, Evolve Brother is gonna be their guy. Guy is gonna be recording everything, and it's gonna be cool. I mean, it's good for me because I never record anything, or my biggest weakness is the social media stuff. So having my own little paparazzi, that's gonna be.
Little paparazzi. You did tonight's intro, so you're getting better at social media. And with your prep for 30 days to a deal, Jeff's motivational messages through text really help, get you prepared for your day.
What? Don't
What did
fuck
I, what
up.
did I say? What was I?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh
don't
yeah,
screw up or something.
Santiago, don't fuck it up. No pressure.
Don't fuck it up. It's
Literally
funny
my
because
only
it's like.
message.
Motivational.
It is obviously like people take that the way they take that, but like I love that type of like humor. Like that humor is like the best for me, man. As soon as I read that, I was just like, yeah,
It's
okay.
honestly, it's just to get you laughing in a lighter mood, and then it just
Just
makes
to
everything
do
easier.
this
That's
to
all
get
it
that
is.
smile, man.
That's it. That is just to break the tension, right? Because when you're
Yeah,
loose, you're in a good mood, you're laughing, you break that tension. You don't take it so seriously, and honestly, that comes through in your conversations too. It translates to the phone and
hundred
That's why they
percent.
say smile when you dial.
that's
Makes a
it.
huge
Smile and
difference.
dial. Smile
Yeah.
and dial.
Or sometimes when I'm talking to the agents, I'm doing this.
Hmm. I see that quite a bit.
Oh man, when like caw caw.
Yeah, I need my own
When
bird call
Ben's like
sometimes.
hang up, hang up, hang
Has
up.
anyone been cacawed yet?
Sorry,
Has anyone had that happen to them yet, where Ben goes cacaw cacaw?
No.
No. We'll wait for
I don't
mid-month.
think I haven't
you've
made
never been cacawed.
calls when he's there, right? Because really the only time I'm making calls when people are around are on like Skills Lab.
Are you still part of Skills Lab?
Yeah, yeah,
You still on that? Yeah.
yeah. I'm basically the closer. When other people don't want to make calls, I always go in there with like 6 or 7 leads already ready to go just in case. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
when the noise stops, then I kind of cut in and start making some calls.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Okay, okay. And people are making calls during Skills Lab, like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
I know. I remember at one point that there was just like it was more talking and shooting shit than actual like work and making calls.
No, no. Well, I mean, they're pushing people to make more calls and get stuff done rather than just
That's
going
good.
over information that we've already been over 300 times.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we were going to get into a little bit of deal analysis as well. And I mean, we can always go into more in depth in future podcasts too, right? Just the whole process behind it, sort of what we're looking for. And I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about it, right? What our exits are to minimize our risk and that sort of thing. But like Matt in your area there in Saskatchewan, what sort of numbers are you looking at? Like what are you looking at as far as finding a good deal, right? Numbers wise out there.
If it can go on a credit card. So
Yeah, you guys got cheap properties out there.
Exactly. It's like when I look for a property, one, I look at the towns I'm looking at, I know because they're in my backyard. I mean, we've done real estate here in Saskatchewan for 3 years. So I've seen what's been bought, what's been sold, and I know what I could sell something for. So for me, I get nervous trying to show it to people that want to invest because they see Saskatchewan as some bushland. That's about it. But for me, I know the profit margin. So I go to the oldest listings, find all those first, and then I go to the lowest priced listings and I work my way up from there. Because, you know what I mean? Like I said, there's some houses here that no one wants to touch for 50 grand because they don't want to do rentals. And when we're selling properties like through Bailey as a realtor, everyone that wants to buy, all I ever hear is, I don't want to do any work. I don't want to do any rentals. I want to just buy a property. I can just move in and live in it. So there's
that's
not
you're saying that's on the buyer. That's on the buyer's side. That's what the buyers are looking for.
Yeah. So there's no one out there really buying properties for rentals or for flipping. So they're sitting on the market for a long time. They do need a lot of work. Some of the ones I'm looking at, like they need, flooring, painting. This one I just bought needs a water heater and a furnace. When you add all those numbers up, everybody gets scared, right? Oh, little mold. So that's where I come in and I will throw a low ball offer because there's no one else on the table. Or people don't know what we're doing. They don't know how to go get investors, capital, raise it or anything like that. So they're going to the banks. Well, the banks are declining all the financing because they don't want to finance these properties. I've come across that so many times where financing falls through, it comes back on the market, and then the seller gets upset and they're annoyed. They want to take my offer. So it's good like that. That's kind of what I look for in properties here. Just run down homes. I know that I can either build equity in and hold it for long term because, like, you've all said, to wholesale an $18,000 house and make the 2.5% margin that Ben tells us to get, you're not making very much on a wholesale fee on $18,000. But if I hold it for 3 years and push it over 100K and pull the equity out and someone rents it, well, now I'm just growing my portfolio, right? And that's what my biggest goal is at my age.
And as far as like rental margins and that sort of thing, what are you looking at out there?
So every town is different. Every street's different in the towns I'm looking at. You really got to know the market here. For a 3-bedroom in Prince Albert in a nice area, you're $2,500 to $2,700 a month. To me, that was crazy, but I've been following along with rentals now. Small towns like Smeaton, White Fox, the ones I'm buying in, you're anywhere from $800 to $1,000. And it's usually some farmer's kid that just wants to move out of his parents' house and wants to start his own family, whatever. They're the ones that are renting these. Or big corporations like Sask Energy, where they got hydro dams and stuff like that, where they need to put workers into a place. They're the ones that are locking these up and renting them.
So at that rental market, you're basically looking at all in anything under like 80,000, 100,000, right?
Yeah,
to kind of meet that 1% rule. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
Like 150 is kind of where I'm looking at for the high end because I can get them down to the hundreds, and then I could probably sell a lot of these properties for 220, 250, right? But it was just some updating. So it really comes down to, we do have higher days on market, and that's one thing that scares people away. But I have no problem sitting on a cash flowing property to sell it for the price that I want than to be going into the negative, right? Like, you know what, Saskatoon, Regina, Calgary, Edmonton, those markets are a lot harder. And properties are selling within 15 to 30 days. So sorry if I'm mumbling. It's a Saskatchewan accent I got.
No, it's all good. And personally, I don't know anybody who would ever talk crap about Saskatchewan. Okay, I know it's a great place to live. It's happening out there. Everybody wants to be there. So anybody who's talking crap about Saskatchewan, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Lots of people live
30
out
days
there.
in Sask.
Lots of people live out there. There are people living out there.
What about you guys? What about you, Santiago? How do you look for your deals? How do you analyze them?
Well, my buy box is technically Ben's buy box, right? Because I'm trying to wholesale to him. He's got his specific buy box. I know I'm starting to look a lot more in Surprise now, which I don't know why I didn't start with Surprise, to be honest, because I know everything is determined on sold comps. And there are a lot more cookie cutter houses in Surprise where there's like tons and tons of sold data. So you can like actually pinpoint and get a pretty accurate reading on a price on your subject property that you're looking at. So like I know he wants somewhere in like Surprise, Glendale area, obviously like Peoria or Scottsdale. Surprise, he's trying to buy a house. He wants something specifically under 300K. Most of them are around that 3 to 400K. So right now just trying to get a property in Surprise. And I do love how like every day is a new opportunity because there are new listings put on every single day, which, you keep an eye on it and you see that. But yeah, I don't really know. It seems when I do ask about the whole rental part, not a lot of agents have that on the top of their mind
Yeah.
when I do ask, oh, if I were to, completely renovate it, what would it go for rent? Um, it just really depends, I guess, on price and where the location is, but anywhere from like 2 to 3 grand. Yeah, it just really depends on the location, the size and everything. Definitely looking at just more of those like 5 pointers. That's just kind of what I kind of really look into. I know you can kind of deep down and get a little bit more thorough, but I'm just trying to pump as many offers and get as many leads, and it's like just really trying to be more thinking about that abundance and not really hone in on just or get fixated on one specific property. Because I can do that and I will like get stuck on a house for like a long time, and I'm like, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta move on. I gotta, get back on the phone or something. And I'll like find myself doing that. And it's like, especially talking about earlier about like being a little bit more confident and know some goals prior. That's where a little bit of my time does kind of go into, I guess, do they call that analysis paralysis or whatever? Sometimes I'll like kind of look into a property a little bit too much. But yeah, no, that's kind of like my buy box is just whatever Ben's buy box is, right? Trying to wholesale to him, get some quick cash in. But other than that, when it comes to actual running the numbers, the analysis part, I haven't really done that many times because I've only been under contract a couple times. That is probably something that I'm going to have to get better at and probably more efficient and quicker is to actually run the numbers fully on a property. I know we don't really want to waste time in doing that unless you got it actually under contract. But even my strategy at the beginning when I first started was not even looking at sold comps or anything. It was literally just like sending blind offers. And I did the last like 2 months ago, kind of switched it up, and I was like, no, I got to start actually developing my skills and looking at sold comps and stuff. Because if I don't do it, then when am I going to do it? And when am I going to get efficient and speedy and quick at it? Right. So that's why I'm like, it's never, you're going to wait until all your ducks are in line. You're going to wait forever. Right. I think that's like the famous thing that Steve Harvey says, but you don't wait until your ducks are in a row or in a line. You just gotta just start, gotta just go. So that's like my 2 cents.
Yeah, you
You're
got to kind of
lucky you
stumble
have
through it, right?
Rentcast. Oh, sorry, Jeff.
No, go ahead.
I say you're lucky because you guys have Rentcast in the areas you guys are looking at, so you guys can see what rentals are going for. We don't got
Right.
that in Saskatchewan, and we also don't got AirDNA or whatever that's called to
Mhm.
see what they're Airbnb for. So that
Right.
also makes it really hard. Luckily, we got Grok and ChatGPT, which really helps. But I was going to mention too, like in Saskatchewan, it's hard to find sold comps, especially in these smaller towns, because one sells every couple months. But like Ben said, it doesn't really matter as long as you know what the ARV is. You don't really need
Yeah.
to know what the FMV is, because then you can reverse engineer a deal and see what you need to be at to put an offer in. So I want to put that out on the podcast too for deal analysis, that if you can't find FMV, as long as you know the ARV, you can reverse engineer the whole deal to find out what your offer should be at.
Yeah, and basically what that is you're taking your after repair fully renovated value, you're subtracting your reno costs, you're subtracting your carrying costs, and then you're subtracting the potential profit or the profit margin that you want to make, and then you land at a price that you're comfortable at buying that property at, right? So then that gives you that buffer zone in between. And then
Yeah.
nowadays you also have to factor in appreciation as well, because all the markets are kind of coming down a little bit too, right? So
Mhm.
you should actually come in a little bit lower than that to factor in that, okay, I'm going to need to sell this. And if it's a smaller house, 3 months. If it's a bigger property, 5 months, 6 months, depending how big the project is, right? And, hopefully the market's kind of stabilized. But I mean, from what all the predictors and what everybody's saying, it's still going to be decreasing for potentially another year, maybe even longer. Who knows, right? And a lot can happen in a year, right? But again, it's all that speculation, and then you're just factoring all that in to put in an offer that you're comfortable with to mitigate the risk.
Right,
Well, I
right.
just found out about that. I don't know if you guys have been watching the news. I try and watch it now because, like, after Matt Piche showed us the timeline of things that happen and people get scared, right? And everyone was scared of the whole Russia war, and no one wants to spend money. So I just seen on the news yesterday there that U.S. and Venezuela might be going at it here. So everyone's getting scared again. So it just means more deals for us and for the market to even go lower. I don't know if
I
you guys
mean,
have seen that.
Venezuela is a different beast than Russia, right? I mean, that's. I hope it doesn't happen. I wish them all the best, but it's out of my hands, whatever they do. But there's a big difference
Indubitably.
between Russia and Venezuela. Let's just put that out there. But we don't like to get too much into politics in this podcast.
Yeah, no, Jeff's a very unpolitical person.
100%. That's why we like to stick to real estate and my personal opinions off of the podcast.
But okay, so back to deal analysis. So what about you, Jeff? What do you look for?
Yeah, so what I'm looking at is basically taking advantage of the decreasing prices right now. So what I'm looking to do is buy homes that are more in that affordability market, that I can buy them in a range where the rent will cover whatever expenses whenever I'm putting it into, so that I can buy the home, basically the BRRRR method, right? Purchase the home, fix it up a little bit, at least get it, it doesn't have to be super high end because I'm looking to put renters in there, but at least livable and nice where you can get, more on the higher end of rent rather than the lower, right? Because if a property's nice and there's a new kitchen and the washrooms look nice and, it looks all clean in there, you're going to command a higher rent anyway. So I kind of want to be on that higher end of the cap, and then pull out the equity, right? Refinance it with a conventional loan. And then hopefully, I'm not even looking about cash flow. I don't care about it cash flowing, right? As long as it covers the bills, or like most of it at the end of the year where there's not a lot of money coming out of my pocket, then I'm looking to really take advantage of holding on to it for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to take advantage of the appreciation, right? So I'm looking to get multiple doors, right? As many as I can that are covering themselves, right? Where there's not a lot of money coming out of my pocket to cover the costs or anything like that. And like I said, take advantage of, hopefully within 3 or 4 years, a rebounding market where if I want to sell them, I can. If I don't want to sell them, I can pull out equity and invest in other things, right? So that's my strategy right now. And I'm looking in Florida, in some of the more affordable markets like Jacksonville, Gainesville, Ocala, and Cape Coral, where at least the rents that are coming in will, it almost meets that 1% rule, or it's kind of close to it, where, the cash flow might be minimal, but at least it's covering all my expenses, and where I can pull out enough equity for it to make sense, right? On the refinance, doing the BRRRR method. And then I'm also looking in New York, kind of Buffalo area,
Really?
where, yeah, because I'm in the GTA. So if I do need to do a walkthrough, or if I need to go look at the property, I'm close enough where I can just take a drive and go look at it. At least it's more accessible for me if something needs to be fixed, or, you need to deal with some tenants, that sort of thing. At least I can get my eyes on the property. It's a lot easier. And the affordability is very good. I mean, they're older homes, right? So there's a lot of other issues because I've never dealt with homes from 1910s, the 1920s. Like, these are from, like, what, fucking World War One, World War Two. Like, they're old, very, very old homes, right? So there's other issues with those old kinds of homes, right? But nothing that can't be fixed. I mean, structurally on the outside, they look half decent. A lot of these places, they've been lived in for a while. So, the electrical's already been updated. The panels have been updated. They most likely need a roof. They need some repairs on the outside, but they're old, like, century homes. So they're nice looking homes, right? And they're a good size. And there's quite a few multiplexes, right, where you can get 2 tenants in there. So, the rents will more than cover the bills in the end, right?
Mhm.
And the one advantage that we don't have here in Canada is that there are DSCR loans in America, which are debt service coverage ratio loans, where they're just looking at the value of the property of what you're buying at, what it can be potentially appraised at when it's done, like how much money you need, and then the potential rent that's coming in as well. So they're not looking at your credit. They're not looking at, what collateral you have, anything like that. They're basically just looking at the deal, right? And some of them are willing to finance to 80%. And I mean, if you keep rotating the money and keep rotating it into more deals, right, they'll give you even better terms. Quick turnaround times. They cover, like I said, 80% of the purchase, the renovation costs as well, where you have to put in, 20%, where you can raise capital for that anyways. Or, you put in your 20% for the time being, you fix it up, you appreciate it, get it appraised. Again, Burr's method, right? Pull out the equity, refinance it with a conventional loan, pay back the lender, and then just kind of circulate into more homes, right? Where you're just putting people into houses and then just having your rent cover your bills. So that's my plan anyways, to hopefully, get, I'm looking at, maybe 5 or 6 homes. That's the goal next year. The more, the better, right? Depending on how quickly I can do it and, how good my process is and what sort of people I can find to help me out. Cause I mean, I'm not going to be doing the renos. I'm not going to be swinging the hammer down there. I don't have the back for that anymore. And one guy can only do so much, right? If you're looking to do
Absolutely.
multiple projects, you need a team, right? You need,
Sure, of course.
you need a team of guys behind you to get that work done, right? So that's the plan. That's the plan. That's why I'm looking in these markets. And like I said, I'm looking to get as many doors as possible that are covering all the expenses and the mortgage and everything. Like I said, if it's cash flowing afterwards, even better. I mean, that's just extra money that I can use for deposits and down payments and whatever down the road.
Holding
Right.
And then
costs.
and then it saves you, I guess, a little bit of effort in finding those like consumer lenders and that sort of thing, because they already have the stuff established. It's already there. And they're already willing to give you the money if the projects are right. And then, you sort of just build from there.
And you obviously you're looking at the equity on the property. Are you using PropWire for that or
PropStream?
a PropStream? Are you using PropStream or PropWire? I know
Uh,
PropWire is a free one.
Yeah, me and Jeff are
I'm
cheap.
using, yeah, I've been
Yeah, I
using
was gonna
PropWire
ask.
and I've been using Zillow.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that for you too, Matt, because I know you are very limited with the softwares as well. Being in Saskatchewan and just in Canada in general, there's just a lot more available for us in the U.S. Is that something you take a look at too? Is the equity on the homes and make sure that there is? What do you?
No, because in Canada, you don't have access to that. Even as a realtor, you don't see what someone owes left on the house. You literally have to go through a mortgage broker to see that. And that's technically classified information they can't tell you. So I don't go off of what they, for equity wise. I wish Canada would do it, but stupid laws and Privacy Act stuff. So
Okay, okay,
Yeah, see, I'm kind
yeah,
of just looking at the price of the home and the location and what it can offer, right? And what I can potentially get out of it anyways, right? I mean, the way I look at it, yeah, I
yeah,
could. I mean, PropWire does show some of the equity that's on there as well
yeah,
and what's left. But even if they don't have much equity, I'm still calling them anyways. You never know what situation is there, right?
exactly. Like I
So
look
yeah.
at
it's
cold
still
data,
worth
I
a
can
phone
see what they
call.
bought it for, and I go off of that.
Yeah, it's just kind of nice to know because sometimes I'm like they'll give you like a bottom line of what the seller wants and it's like why, and you go you look at what it was sold for, they're like okay, they bought it for this, and then you look at the equities, they still owe a shit ton. I'm like, now I understand why they need this much. They're trying to just break even right now,
Yeah.
right? So
But that's why a lot of people are doing those VTBs, vendor takebacks, seller financing,
yeah,
to help them get out of that situation like that, where you can still secure a property. Like I think in America, you can also take over. Is that the same thing? Seller financing, take over their mortgage, pretty much.
Yeah,
You're
you
getting
can
the good
assume.
interest rates they got.
Yeah, you
whatever
can
they
assume people's
previously got.
mortgages. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that in Canada. I wish you could do that in Canada because I
Yeah.
would assume so many mortgages at like 2%.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's
Damn,
the thing.
yeah.
There's a lot of advantages, right?
God
In the
bless
States
America.
that we don't have in Canada.
Sure.
Right. It's just, again, it's hard for people to wrap their mind around it because, they're used to their country, they're used to their backyard. Certain people don't want to invest, they don't want to take that risk to put their money somewhere else
Well,
outside of the country, right?
even the way their taxes are structured, like it's so beautiful. I love America because what's that called? Like the 1031 exchange. Like if you sell a property, as long as you roll the money into a
Yes.
bigger investment, there's no tax on it and there's no capital gains on it. You just got to keep rolling that money. So you go from a house to a duplex to a duplex to a fourplex, from a fourplex to an apartment complex to a bigger property. So there's no tax.
To that $18,000 house. Just
You
kidding.
can't do that in Canada. I wish you could do that in Canada. Here, you guys headed to Brookfield. Just kidding. We're keeping politics out of this.
I don't think he's looking at $18,000 homes.
Well, guys, we actually got over the hour again. I'm surprised we did very well at this. I think we're ready to wrap her up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
let's
I
do
think
it.
so. This was a fun one.
Yeah, it was solid.
I could even say the ending this time. Here we go. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in again to Hustle and Homes. I appreciate you guys all joining us. If you got value from today's episode, make sure you guys give us a like, a follow, and follow us on Facebook. Till then, keep hustling, keep building, and keep closing.